This video is sponsored by Christoph Frey. For excellent low-poly horror games, check the link in the description below for some of his works. What's up, y'all? Boogie Knight here, and welcome back to Through the Pages. This is an interview podcast where we talk to people of the creative nature, find out where they've come from, where they are, and where they hope to be. And tonight I've got a very, very special guest. You might know her for her YouTube and Twitch pages, links to both of which will be in the description below. But what you may not know a lot about her is her creative ventures into painting and drawing, as well as a lot of other different ventures that she is very, very good at. The one and only MaedayRock. May, welcome to the cast.
Thanks, Boogie. Very happy to be here.
I mean, it's good to finally actually have like a conversation with you after like many years of like watching each other's crap.
Exactly. It's kind of weird that we haven't talked before now, if you really think about it.
I know. I mean, like, our child, spoiler, it's not actually our child.
Yes, our child.
That's a rabbit hole.
Interdimensional love child.
This is turning into a weird song by like Steely Dan. Interdimensional love song, like the next song by like the Allman Brothers.
By DJ Spindly Fingers.
Oh my god. Oh man. Anyways.
Callbacks and they don't even know what I'm calling back to.
I feel like we're suddenly moonlighting for the next episode of Down the Rabbit Hole or Chasing the Train Wreck.
Yes.
All of a sudden Ray wakes up with like a full body shiver and has no idea why.
It's like, what's going on? There's a disturbance in the force.
Anyway, so I start these interviews off with the same question, and that's how did you get into painting, drawing, and crafting, and then I guess how long have you been painting?
Well, just art in general is something that I've always really loved, and just kind of your typical sort of been drawing and doodling and whatever since I was little, and always just got really encouraged by anybody. It's like, yeah, keep trying, and just, art was always my favorite. Art and English, my favorite classes in school, and then music too. If I don't say that, my dad might hunt me down. But just my dad was my band director for many years.
Oh God.
Very lot of musical influence in my life. We're a musical family, so I'm not allowed to exclude music from my list of favorites.
Okay, so now I have to ask, what did you play?
I played the alto saxophone.
You too?
Yes.
Hey.
That's what you played?
Yeah.
Did you play the alto saxophone?
Yeah, for like 10 years.
Of course you did, because it's the best instrument ever.
Yeah, hello. Like, I think one of the first songs I learned how to play was like Chattanooga Choo Choo or Glenn Miller's In the Mood.
Oh, that's beautiful. So I played.
Don't say Hot Cross Buns.
No, I'm trying to think how long. I think my dad got my saxophone for me when I was like in 3rd grade, I think, and then I played through my first year of college, and then I kind of got put away for my horn got put away in retirement, and now Floof plays it. So
nice.
And he's very fond of the fact that he inherited my saxophone, and that's what he plays now.
Good on Floof.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm proud mama too.
I mean, hey, did you have a favorite song you like to play for like warm-ups or just like shenaniganery?
I always loved playing Mac the Knife.
Nice.
Oh, and The Stripper. The Stripper was one of the, like, my junior, senior year, The Stripper was like just the song in jazz band that we all just got really like hammy with when we would play it. And so our teacher had to let us play it like friggin' every rehearsal, it seems like. Otherwise we would just all have ants in our pants.
Well, I mean, I guess strippers do have hands in their pants, so art imitates life. Hi-yo! It's funny,
No.
you used to play the stripper, and then, like, back in high school, like, if we really wanted to get, like, shenaniganery, like, we would play Salt Peanuts by Dizzy Gillespie. There was
I
just
think
something about, like, just stopping in mid-song going, Salt Peanuts, Salt Peanuts. Anyway.
Floof keeps trying to get his jazz teacher to play giant steps. He's way into the music even more than I ever was, and I guess giant steps is supposed to be like one of the hardest jazz songs for them to learn, and he's still trying to convince his teacher that they should try to play it. And she's just like, okay.
More respect for Floof.
Oh, yeah, I think jazz band is his favorite part of music.
Good on him.
But yeah, so it's like there's lots of music that's always been going on in life, and so that's combined with my art too. Like when I'm painting or drawing, and it helps me, and writing, and like the things all kind of cross over with each other too. It's like even with my writing, a lot of drawing helps a lot with that, like getting ideas kind of formed for myself, and that's kind of the evolution. Was sort of like I drew a lot when I was younger, and then I started writing when that sort of started being a thing in school. I found out that I really liked to write, and then I sort of started painting as the art classes sort of stretched that out. And but painting is actually something like painting not minis has always been something I've felt like I'm not very good at. So I think that's part of why I like painting the minis, is like I feel like I can actually be something I can actually do with paint that I don't feel like I suck at.
I mean, you've got a lot of skills though, like when it comes to painting or just creativity in general. So I wouldn't, coming from a complete hypocrite who discounts himself all the time, don't downplay yourself.
I think it's the artist's curse. No matter what your art is being really critical of yourself. It's kind of cliche, but I think it's just one of those things that every artist, no matter what your medium is, music, podcasting, whatever, you're going to have those like, oh, why?
Well, I mean,
why am I not better?
He's Catholic, so I mean.
Oh.
All right. So next question. Do you have any inspirations or favorite artists that you tend to draw inspiration from? No pun intended. See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Nice insertion.
That's what she said. Sorry, Silverleaf.
Silver is scarred for life. I mean, he's already scarred for life. He's been scarred for life.
Anyway.
I used to. I think these days I don't really have like a real like set in stone. I kind of evolved into one of those people where it's just like I don't have a favorite sort of thing. I just kind of love everything beautiful around me, and it's kind of funny to say that because I was thinking about it. And if you ever watch me playing Ark or Minecraft or anything, like any of my building stuff, about how, because I'm like, oh, pretty, oh my god, it's pretty, and it's like I like to build pretty buildings and find new like biomes and stuff that look really cool, like aesthetically pleasing to build in, and they're always just like teasing me about how many bases I end up with because I just whatever's around me and grabs my attention. But I really liked the Impressionists when I was younger, when it was still, the young, deeply emotional artist thing where you've got to have a deep love of the classics and Emily Dickinson. And
we're practically the same age. You can get away with saying back in our day.
Back in our day. But no, I loved Monet and Degas and Renoir, and then I think I just love, even though it's like I'm not really big on pastels anymore these days, but I always loved the use of color. And then like I remember kind of going through like a Dolly phase that was simultaneously cool but also weirded me out because man, that guy is fucked up.
So
And
kind of, yeah. Well, I mean, come on, persistence of memory.
I know that I stare at that painting and I'm just like, why? It's the saggy melty clocks thing. Just it always like just really hit me in like this weird way where I was like, why? Why?
I mean, if you want a complete mind fuck, just look at anything by Hieronymus Bosch.
Oh God. No. And then of course I
Somebody
love
already
Van
knows
Gogh
about
too, but I'm
Bosch.
pretty sure everybody does.
Say again.
I said I also love Van Gogh, but I'm pretty sure like just about every artist does.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of like a baseline, kind of like asking me who my favorite poet is, and I say Dante, and they look at me like a Betamax, like they still make you.
But Dante. I no, and I was joking about Emily Dickinson, but she was my favorite poet when I was wee babe.
Dickinson,
I
yeah,
remember.
she's decent. Everyone's always like, "Oh, what about Shakespeare?" Oh, screw that.
I mean, I love my Shakespeare too, but it's not. It was sort of like one of those things that was almost like Shakespeare was the thing that you're supposed to have read and liked and everything. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and plus, I didn't always get what the big deal is because I maybe couldn't like explain. I don't like. I just read it and watched it, and I understood what was going on, and it computed for me. And I know some people try to watch like a Shakespearean play, and like my mom always said, like, if she tries to watch Shakespeare, just the language barrier. She's just like they're talking a bunch of nonsense and everything, and I was like, I don't know. It just always kind of translated in my head, so I always really enjoyed watching Shakespeare and everything, and it's just like it never like confused and frustrated me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people are just like, why?
I don't find it confusing. For me, it's kind of like maybe just because I'm like anti-trend. Like when that gets like force-fed down your throat constantly, like okay, enough is enough. It's
Yeah.
like just to go tangential for a moment, like I love H.P. Lovecraft. I've been reading Lovecraft since I was like 8 or some like ridiculous young age, but like now that like every asshole and their grandparent are like, oh, Shadow over Innsmouth, Call of Cthulhu, I'm like, okay, those are my least favorite stories. Next.
You're like, now I must rage against it.
Rage against the Lovecraft machine. Rally around the
No, and it's
Lovecraft
like,
pocket full of shells.
yeah. And I'm not really big into like Shakespeare movies and crap like that. It's just like I actually enjoyed reading it for myself, and then I got taken the school. I remember one of the schools I was at. We went every year to go see a play, and it usually was a Shakespeare. And I just always really enjoyed. I love the theater, so it's
Mm-hmm.
just like extra experience.
Ooh.
And it's like it's to me, it's much more enjoyable to see it in the theater. I mean, movies are great. I love movies for their own as their own genre kind of thing, and I try to always separate in my mind
Mm-hmm.
from, especially if it's based on a book that I love.
Oh, that's the hardest part because I feel like movies just go off in like a million different directions and it can be like 100% true to the book or completely extrapolate and it becomes a total dumpster fire.
Yeah, and it's just like must. It's like I always have to remind myself. It's like just watch it for itself,
And you
or
kind
you're
of,
gonna
well,
be mad.
you kind of have to though is like somehow put like a divider between the book and the movie. Otherwise, you're going to be incredibly disappointed with the outcome. Otherwise known as my dating life, but that's beside the point.
No, it's very. I went through that with like every Harry Potter movie.
Fair enough. I mean, I think I stopped watching Harry Potter like when I was a senior in college just because like I ran out of time and like my friend who's like the biggest Potter nerd, like even more than Raven, shout out to Ravenclaw, like we used to like stay up like till 2 o'clock in the morning like watching Harry Potter movies and like having like in-depth conversations, like philosophical conversations about everything like under the sun. Like it got weird.
No, I kind of came late to the Harry Potter game.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, like, I had graduated from high school. I was in my first year of college before I even heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister was like, hey, here's this movie I want to watch with you. And so it's like, I'm not sure how many of the books were out at that time. I think the fourth book maybe had just been released, either the fourth or the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started reading like the movie, I was like, oh, that's okay. But and she's like, the books are better. And I was like, well, of course the books are better. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to read the books. And like, I just devoured the books, and everybody laughed at me because like, I just remember like, I was always like a huge Snape supporter.
Why am I not
It's like,
surprised?
it's like Snape all the way. And it's just like Snape supporter, Snape all the way. And it doesn't hurt that Alan Rickman was one of my favorite actors. But, you know, this is kind of a separation sort of thing. But, and then I just remember that we did like the midnight releases of the books. So like when the sixth book came out, we got the book, and I am a really fast reader. And I was reading it, and when I got to the part, I suppose, is it far enough in the future now that it doesn't, like, spoilers don't count anymore?
Do it. Get it out of your system.
Oh God, when he killed Dumbledore, the just like, first I was like, why did she do that to him? Why did she do that to him? And then, like, of course, everybody's like, you were wrong the whole time. And I was like, nope, there's a reason. He's not bad. He's not evil. There's a reason. I would not stop defending him. So like the seventh book, I was like, vindication, bitches.
I can see you just shouting that out, like in your office.
I'm pretty sure I
randomly.
did. I'm pretty sure I have said it to many people. It's like, vindicated. I win, because everybody was all like, see, we told you he was evil when he killed Dumbledore. And then it's going to come back around. Just give it time.
Oh, gosh. All right. So next question, just because I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch. What is your favorite type of creative design, and why? Is it drawing? Is it painting? Is it Photoshop? What exactly kind of tickles your creative fancy?
I guess I don't really have a clear favorite, but I would have to say that I always end up kind of coming back to the sketching. So it's like having pencil on paper to get my ideas out and get my thoughts out. Everything starts with a sketch. My digital work that I do all starts with sketches. And just like, and I was it's kind of fun because I was like rediscovering this last year how much I actually did like drawing, because I did this 30 faces in 30 days class type thing through Sketchy, and back in January, and I might do it again this year. They do it a couple times a year, but it's just like every day, and an artist of theirs puts out a short video about a style, and then you're supposed to sketch they have a model, and you sketch the face in the style that they're teaching that day.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it was really fun, and it really kind of reignited my love of drawing. And it's like, it's not just a utility. You know, my cartoons before, it's like, yeah, I really remembered how much I really like drawing, as much as I have enjoyed working with the digital art. And then I love my mini painting. The mini painting is probably the most relaxing. It's like, unless I'm painting it for somebody else, if I'm just painting minis for myself, for my own collection, I don't feel this need to put like a lot of pressure on myself, even though I still want them all to look really cool. But
unless you're like painting a mini for like, what's his face? Abba Ding Dong.
For Abaddon.
Whatever.
And it must look perfect.
I'm just going to start calling it Abba Ding Dong just because I had a complete brain fart. Shout out to Abaddon.
We love you, Abaddon.
Well, I don't know you, but you seem pretty cool, Abaddon. Most of my conversations
he has his moments.
Most of my conversation with like your group like consists of either like Eggs and I exchanging sarcastic comments, or you and I trying to decipher how Silverleaf is our son.
Yep. Yeah, someday we'll totally figure it out. Or
I don't think
it'll
we
just be the
will, but
birth
this is
of
like
many
just.
short stories about the different origins.
I mean, I don't really think we are going to ever decipher that mystery, but it does make for
Yeah,
really good meta.
it does. It does.
Like, I feel like if it's like ever like you, me, Floof, and Silver like play Quiplash, it'll be like Family Feud, except nobody's getting kissed. Doc can be Richard Dawson just so he'll kiss you randomly. How you
Oh,
doing, honey?
poor Doc. Poor Doc. I still
Anyway.
just love the time that the first time Silver found out that I had a brother and a sister, and he's like, I have an aunt and an uncle. And he's like, wait, I have cousins, when he found out I was talking about my nieces and my nephew. And I was just like, dear God.
Well, I mean, I have a brother, I've got a niece, I've got a sister-in-law, so like we're going like full on Southern now. Like we're just having like
Yes.
massive family reunions. So now somebody has to go to Bojangles and get fried chicken for us.
The family grows, and we're just going to barbecue for ourselves. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're right.
Between you and I, we're going to cook for ourselves.
Damn right we will. Hey, I've got my smoking gun, so like you get the brisket, I'll just go to town.
Heck yeah.
All right, so next question, because each question's like 1 minute of an answer, and then like 5 minutes of us deviating.
There are no train tracks here.
No, this really is turning into chasing the train wreck. So what made you decide to stream/record some of your creative ventures? Most significantly the minis.
Actually, that was really all Doc. When I started painting, the painting kind of came from, I was getting really into Dungeons and Dragons, and then on top of that, they were like, "Oh yeah, we have these minis," and then they were like, "Hey, May likes to paint," and my friend group is like, "Would you mind painting this for me?" And it's like I painted one, and I was hooked, and then I was spending a lot of time painting, and then Doc was just kind of like, "Hey, you like showing these off afterwards, and you're spending all this time by yourself." Painting alone.
There's some passive aggressiveness going on there with Doc.
No, the Doc is definitely not passive aggressive. So I am the passive aggressive one. So this is my internal interpretation of what was going on.
So you're projecting
But
Doc to be like Eeyore. Thanks for noticing me.
he's just like, I think you should try out Twitch. It's like that way. It's like you're socially interacting while you're painting. He's like maybe, and he's like, you're comfortable with online people. So, and I was like, okay, as long as I don't have to do a face cam.
I was gonna say, but you hate people.
I know, right? I hate people so much. But no, it really was. It was all him. He's like, yeah, I think you should give it a shot. Just see what you think. And then he actually wasn't streaming yet. He started really shortly after I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then and the minis were always the main thing. And then I sort of ended up starting to play more games just because I was missing my game time, and plus I was kind of hitting a little bit of a mini burnout for a while there. So it's like, okay, so we're gonna paint a little less and play more games, and then the YouTube was just kind of like I needed to go in a different, like I really wanted to start painting again, but I was like feeling this need to be focused while I was doing it. And so it's like whenever I'm streaming the painting, I'm really torn between focusing on my work and still, it's Twitch is supposed to be interactive. I'm not supposed to just be sitting there silently painting. I'm not, look, everybody doesn't come to just be like, wow, look at those brush strokes. Anybody who shows up on the channel is there to say hi and talk a little bit. So it's like,
unless it's like April
okay,
Fool's Day and you troll them by not saying a word.
Nothing. Just say, okay, next April 1st stream, I say nothing the whole stream.
It's just like 2 hours. No, you don't even have to paint. Like, you just like sit there for like an hour with like your hands around one of the minis, and that's it.
Stare intensely at the camera.
These are May, and then you have like Doc or Flu be like, these are May's hands. They paint stuff.
Oh dear. Floof would have way too much fun narrating me being silent.
Floof would go
He
like
already,
full on Steve Irwin. And then over here we've got the elusive May. Crikey, what a creature. I'm gonna poke her with a stick.
yeah, he would, and then he would genuinely poke me with a stick. Because he commits to the character.
Damn it, I'm gonna be like Steve Irwin, and then you come out with like a stingray gun and you shoot him. Too soon?
Yep, exactly.
Damn it.
It's always going to be too soon. I miss Steve.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Okay, so to dovetail from the streaming and YouTube, I kind of want to just, as a quick afterthought, I mean, you do monthly mini giveaways for your Twitch crew. I mean, what made you start doing the giveaways? Was it just like a way to give back? Was it because people were browbeating you to give them stuff away? Was Doc trying to get you to clean out your office? I mean, what was the reason?
Well, it actually, but let me tell you, it sort of started like when I was still sort of part of when Team Synergy was still a thing, and we were sort of all supposed to be a little bit about growing our channels and everything, and helping each other grow our channels. And it's just, I don't know if you've ever spoken.
Synergy.
Yeah, well, I think most people have, unfortunately. But I mean, that's how I met Lexi.
Yeah, because I knew she was part of Synergy, but then again, I usually shrug off teams because I feel like it's like, whose dick do I have to suck to get like noticed around here?
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't really feel like that with Synergy, but it's just sort of one of those things where it's almost like they were so genuine about stuff that it ended up falling apart.
I think that's like the curse of like any kind of team is it's either like how does Senpai notice me, or like everybody's like the biggest philanthropist and it just like falls apart because of which.
Yeah, exactly. And like I don't know if you ever came across Cruffles.
Oh yeah, we're
friends. On Twitch.
I mean, I never watched him. Like Cruffles and Cheese.
Yep. Oh, Cheese Cat is the best. I love Cheese Cat so much.
Which is funny because, quick side note, Lex the Panda has a cat named Cheese. So for the longest time, I thought Lex was married to Cruffles.
Oh, that's amazing.
Even though, side note, Lex and I grew up like 10 miles from each other.
You're like, Lex, did you move to Canada?
I don't know. I mean, I know she's very pregnant right now.
But like, you know, like Cruffles is awesome. And he was kind of like my my group leader, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So he was my senpai, I guess. He was sort of responsible for helping, I guess, with I was put in his group. But and like I used to love jumping into his channel to say hi and stuff and see Cheese Cat. And he had just kind of made a comment once when we were discussing like ideas that could maybe possibly increase viewership. He's like, well, you could maybe do some sort of like as a recognition for your viewers. It started out as he's like, well, you could let somebody pick how to paint a mini every month or something like that. And I was like, hey, that's actually a really good idea because, you know, sometimes I run out of ideas and sometimes I get my best ideas for how to paint something when somebody makes a suggestion. And I was like, yeah, that'd be really fun. So it started out as I'm going to have this shelf. And that's how I ended up with a second camera. Is I was going to I would put a camera on the shelf and every month somebody won the mini and they got to tell me how to paint it. And then it would always be on display. And then eventually that kind of grew into, well, there's not enough room on this shelf and there's enough room, but the camera can't see everybody. And I wanted to show everybody. So I turned it into a slideshow that was just always running. And then eventually like my overlay evolved and then there wasn't room for the slideshow anymore. So then it was just kind of like, and plus Doc was kind of like, you're kind of building up a collection. Why don't you just give it to everybody? I was like, do you mind if I'm like mailing something out to everybody once a month? And I was like, do you care? And he's just like, no, go ahead. So it's like, it just turned into, you know what, guys, these are actually yours. You're actually winning them. So it sort of evolved into I will mail it to you. If you win it, I'll paint it how you want it. And then I take pictures of it for my own like memory and record and stuff. And I put them in the Discord and then I send it off. And it's actually like, I hope everybody else who wins them really enjoys getting them. They see them too, but it's actually kind of fun for me too, which might seem weird, but it's just like, hey, I painted a mini and I sent it to Arizona. Or, hey, like when Spark started winning a couple of them, it was really cool to me that it's like I painted something and then I mailed it to England.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I need to get more into your stream so I could like hopefully get a mini one day, and that's my end of the year goal is get like a painting, like a mini from May, and just be like, yes,
Join the crew.
and like yeah, and like make like have the dragon like has a mohawk or something weird like that.
You're gonna make me bust out like the special plastics and stuff. I have just like, here, I need you to alter this mini for me.
The plastics, yeah, I'm Dustin Hoffman from The Graduate. Thank you for getting that reference. No one else is going to. Oh God.
I'm old.
we are. If we're making the Graduate references, I think we've officially pop our teeth in a glass.
We might be old.
Seriously. Oh God. Welcome back to the Cranky Old Farts cast. Anyway, so next question. Since the creative sector is kind of turning into a family business, how did Floof wind up getting involved?
Well, I'm pretty sure the first thing that Floof kind of got involved in is when I started deciding that I was going to stream game.
Mm-hmm.
Really insistent. He's like, you got to play Undertale, Mom. You got to play Undertale. It'll be really fun. It'll be really fun. And I was like, I don't even know if I can do this game. I don't know if this is my kind of game, whatever. And I was just like, okay, fine. I'll do Undertale, but I want you to be there with me to help me in case I'm really making an idiot of myself. It kind of was what the idea was. It's like, you can save me from screwing this up and making everybody hate it. And it ended up like what we decided to do is what?
The old MatPat approach. No.
Yep. We ended up what we ended up doing is we ended up taking turns basically doing, because there's no voiceover in the game, we did the voiceover. We took turns doing the voices for all the characters. So that was like his first introduction into doing the streaming with me. And then he started really getting into Dungeons and Dragons, and then he decided he wanted some of his own minis, and he's just like, hey, and then like it's actually pretty recent, relatively speaking, that he's kind of been like, I think I would like to try painting. So it's like just this past Christmas is when he got his own first set of stuff to start painting, and then for his birthday he got some more stuff. So he's sort of started joining me when I managed to get off my butt and stream, or on my butt and stream, I guess.
I mean, you levitate
he
while
comes
you
and
stream.
he likes to come and hang out and stream with me. So it's kind of fun having him hang out with me, and sometimes it is kind of funny because he sort of takes that pressure off sometimes too, where I'm getting really intensely focused on my painting. He'll like grab the microphone, and he's not necessarily like narrating like we were joking about, but he'll just like talk to the channel for me and stuff, and he seems to have fun talking to the channel while I'm just like intensely focused on getting this precise shade of brown in the right spot.
I'm not even gonna make a poop joke. So does Doc do anything of the creative sort as well, or is it just like you and Floof?
It's mostly Floof and I, but Doc was kind of like searching for he wanted like a creative outlet, and he actually started he like watches all sorts of like creative things on YouTube, and he found dice making. So he's actually off and on been trying making his own dice. He was doing it on stream a little bit, like showing stuff off, and then he's kind of on a break from it for the moment because we're gonna get him some extra gear to help make the whole process a little bit better, because there's like he's making like he made his own silicone molds for the dice, and then he gets like a resin, a UV hardening resin, and or not UV, is it UV? But I don't know exactly what's going on. But he wants to get like a pressure pot and stuff, and then it'll help make it helps keep like bubbles and such out, and then they will churn out better. But he's got all sorts of ideas for cool looking dice he wants to make, and that's kind of his creative outlet. And then just the streaming in general, he seems to really enjoy interacting, and he was doing a little bit of YouTube and he kind of comes back and forth to it. I think he's like the opposite of me. I feel like he struggles more with the doing YouTube and not actually having somebody to talk to and bounce off of while he's working. And shoot, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No worries. I mean, it was funny, you talked quickly about floof and you doing like narrations. I feel like whenever I get about to recording Night in the Woods, you and I should like do the voices for that.
That'd be funny.
Like you do the guy voices,
No.
I do the woman voices for Night in the Woods, just like throw people off.
It's like, what the hell's going on?
It's May and Night,
No,
just let him go, and then
but-
Silverleaf comes in for like a trifecta. We bring our son in.
It's like, oh no, and Floof loves doing the voices and stuff too. And like, people have joked before about how like Silver got me to read one of my books a little bit for like my 1 year stream or something like that. It was forever ago. And then they were all joking about how like I should do a thing where like Floof helps me and we do voices and everything. And I was just like, yeah, I suppose we could do something like that. Because I do have a friend who's always like, I have one friend who hasn't read it, and he's like, I'll read it when it's an audiobook. And he's like, it's like his way of trying to force me to do an audio recording of it. And I was just like, do you know how long that will take?
Seriously.
Like, this is an endeavor, sir. An endeavor.
This is May! And like you do like a 300 voice.
Yes.
Oh God. Alright, so next question. What would you say has been your biggest obstacle in the painting / crafting / creative sector?
I would say sort of a combination of burnout and lack of inspiration. Just like, and I suppose sometimes the two are kind of interwoven. So it's like go through like bursts of, like I went through a really serious burst of lots of painting, and then all of a sudden I was like, I just don't feel like painting anymore. And so I was playing a lot of video games, and but then also feeling guilty that I wasn't painting because it's like, but or else sometimes not so much with the painting. That's the kind of the fun thing I like about the minis is I'd never really run out of inspiration for painting them. There's always just the option of just painting it like it's a thing. It's a dog, it's a cat, it's, you know, there's real life inspiration everywhere, so it's hard to run out of inspiration for it. But like writing or drawing or even like the digital art, sometimes it's just like inspiration for my own stuff is just kind of like lacking sometimes, and that's why it's always fun when somebody else requests something. And like Lexi Kitty has commissioned some digital art from me, and the little oh crap, why is my brain, Octavia, the unicorn cat unicorn cat octopus is my favorite thing in the world since she got that stuffed animal, and that became the mascot. And I started doing the emotes of that, and anytime she wants an emote of that, it's just really easy to get inspiration to come up with a new little thing of Octavia. It's one of my favorite little things. So it's like stuff like that is always great to have.
Oh yeah.
Something out there that is just like, oh, when the spark is dwindling, and then it's like, hey, I need Octavia coming out of a TV looking like she's going to devour my face. And I'm like, yes, I will do this.
I can just see you doing that and be like, please step on me. Wow, this has got weird fast.
Yeah.
Par for the course with us.
Evil cackles.
Well, considering the fact that the first part is we talked about our interdimensional love child, so I guess, you know, we're just keeping that portal open. And then
it's okay. We just always get to blame Silver for that. It's always his fault.
Of course it is. Love you, Silver.
We love you, Silver, but you created this problem.
Because you weren't thinking who your actual
you made
dad
this time
is.
loop.
Like, at this point, Doc and I have to, like, Rochambeau for who gets rights to be the actual father. All right. So alongside your creative side, you also play Minecraft and other games for your channels. I mean, what made you kind of start doing that part of the footage? Was it like boredom? Was it like you really just want to take a hard interest? I mean, we kind of touched upon it briefly with Floop, but I kind of want to get a little more in depth.
I would say that boredom was like one of the big motivators. Being really honest, is boredom and like I said, a little bit of the burnout because it's like I was a little bit burnt out on the minis, and I've always loved playing video games, but then I also suffer from this adult complex of feeling guilty about spending my time playing video games. But if I'm doing them for YouTube videos and for Twitch, I can tell myself that I am creating something, and
it's okay. This is low-fat ice cream. I can eat the whole tub.
Exactly. I'm eating Halo Top. That means I get to have the whole pint.
You're opening Pandora's box with that, you realize. There's news articles in Playboy. I can read this.
I can play Minecraft as long as I want. It doesn't matter. And it's like, honestly, like a lot of the games that I love to play, like Ark and Minecraft, and even like 7 Days to Die, anything where it's like survival and building combo, survival crafting combo, it pokes at my creative side too. So it's like, ooh, it's a video game where I also get to make things. And I tell you what, it never fails to drive Doc crazy, because he is very much a go in and play and kill things. And I'm like, he watched me play Skyrim, or tried to watch me play Skyrim. And Skyrim, I was like distracted by every little herb that I could pick off the ground. I was like, oh, and I'm going to go craft some potions. And he's just like, this whole beautiful game. And that's what you're doing with your time. You're going to go make an alchemy station. And okay. And he's like, I can't watch this anymore. He's like, there's quests you could do, right?
Yes, and I don't care.
Yeah, and so it's like, if we play 7 Days to Die together, it's pretty much a given. He's like, yeah, she's gonna go set up a base, and I'm just gonna go kill zombies, and it'll all be fine. And he's just like, yeah, and I'll come back, and she'll have like home built for us, and I'll be like, that's cool. I don't like killing the zombies. I just like making this house. It's like, why are you playing a zombie killing game if you don't like to kill the zombies? Well, I like the crafting aspect.
I could just see us playing like Torchlight 2, and like you're like complimenting like the structures of the town, and I'm the one that's like hacking stuff, and you're like, no, it's cool, hang on.
Like, no, I just need to make one more pie.
And your our Sam and Dean Winchester transformation is like, May, just go get me some pie.
Yeah.
I love me some pie.
Okay. I'll make you some pie.
I could just
so I'm Sam in this scenario.
I could just now see us being like, we just complete the transformation where like you call me a jerk and I call you a bitch, or like vice versa.
So I'm Sam, you're Dean, Silver's Bobby,
and Floof is
we just need a cool car.
Say again.
We just need a cool car, and yeah, Floof could totally be Castiel.
Well, no, the cool car is what we stole, and it's how we acquired Silver.
That's how we acquired Silver. Yeah, he was in the back seat, and we trained him. And now he sits at home and bails us out of jail occasionally.
This is the way of the hunters. All right, so
somebody's got to have the bail money.
Well, yeah, that's why we run credit card scams.
Yep.
All right, so 2 more questions. This one could be a little bit easier, can be a little bit difficult. Where would you like to see your creative ventures within the next 5 years?
Ooh. This is a little tough, because if you think, like, I would love to keep painting minis, but at some point, I'm either going to need a bigger house, or I've thought about it, like, at some point, I'll have to, like, part with my little darlings, and maybe like start an Etsy shop or something where I sell them. Oh God, it hurts to even say it.
You could start selling
or
like
something
models of like Peb.
yeah, it's like
I would
because I
buy a
actually just
giant
built like
pillow
a
with
cool
Pip's face
shelving
on it.
display.
Sorry,
But like,
go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
no, it's okay. So it's just like I want to keep painting, and like I would in 5 years. I'm really curious to see like if I've developed better techniques, because it's just like I've never tried to be super serious about it, but there is a lot out there that I could learn about different techniques and styles. And I actually had very briefly dabbled with the idea of making my own minis, and not like I think it could become like a 3D printing thing, but there are lessons out there online for making your own like little armatures and making your own, because every mini that I buy from like Reaper or WizKids or something like that, it starts off, or at least for Reaper it does, starts off as like just a little sculpture that somebody did. So I was watching lessons about making, because it's like all these little sculptures, and I mean some of them are very tiny, so it's sort of a process to learn how to sculpt on a scale that small, because I've always kind of liked working with clay too, but it's been a long time. So I mean, I would love to maybe develop that skill, and then maybe start doing, eventually be able to have videos where it's like you see it start off as just the wire armature and watch it develop into the sculpture, and then I paint the sculpture that I made myself. And then also, just since I'm kind of getting into the drawing again, thinking about maybe eventually having some videos of drawing, or doing some of the drawing on Twitch. I have so much going on like in my head and on the channel with everybody's like, don't go too crazy with the YouTube. You don't want to have too much on there and confuse everybody. And it's like so many things that I would love to put on there. So many things. I'm just going to have to develop a huge backlog and deal with it.
I mean, you've got a lot of skills and a lot of talent. So, I mean, I could see you like taking off in that sector.
It's just so much fun too. It's just like enjoyable. And I don't know if I've never been any good at teaching people anything. So it's like, I don't know if it would ever be like tutorial videos. It's always probably going to be more like, just like, hey, if you want to see this process. But I mean, maybe that's something, maybe in 5 years, I'll feel knowledgeable enough where I could be like, okay, so now's where I start making videos to give back to the next set of people who want to pick up mini painting and try to help them, like, be like, so this is kind of where I started and how I learned. Because there's people that I watched on Twitch and stuff, and then the YouTube videos I've seen, and yeah, especially like I wanted to make sure I mentioned him at some point in this interview, but Voidbrush Steve, he was Houndstooth Minis on Twitch, and he was like one of my biggest inspirations early on with the mini painting. It's just like I was always like, wow, how do I ever get to be that good? And he's always really patient and kind and generous with knowledge and information, and I just learned so many things just popping in randomly to different streams and being like, so hey, why do you do it that way? Or hey, I saw this thing the other day, and what do you think of this, and what do you think of these paints and stuff like that, and just what do you think is a good brush, and how do you think you improve your brush technique? And just kind and free, and it's always great to be a part of an art community where there's different kinds of art communities. Sometimes I have a photographer friend who talks often about how it tends to be a very competitive sort of backstabby sort of thing where it doesn't sound like the kind of thing that I've luckily fallen into, whereas like the mini painting thing, it's all about like sharing, and we're a bunch of hippies, we share and love and spread our knowledge and wealth kind of thing. And then she talks about the photographers being like, well, and I'm sure because it's their livelihood too, they get kind of cutthroat about it. But I'm just like, man, that is not the world that I want to be in. I like my world where everybody's like really awesome and supportive and everything. And so it's just like, that would probably be a good end goal, is to be able to someday, like in 5 years, be able to be like, okay, so here is actually start to feel comfortable doing like a tutorial video type thing.
I mean, once again, I can see
possibly
you
still be.
doing that. I could really see you doing that just because, like I said, you've got the skills, you've got the talent, you've got the personality. You quoted Natalie Merchant earlier saying kind and generous. So, I mean, bonus points for that.
I could, if I could if I could break myself out of this mind. I've always had this mindset that I'm a horrible teacher. If I could break myself out of that mindset, then maybe if I didn't think of it as teaching, there we go. I'll just have to convince myself I'm not actually teaching. I'm just painting with words. I'm narrating what I'm doing. I'm just narrating what I'm doing. That's all. I'm not actually teaching anything.
I mean, you could do like the Rachel Ray thing, like yummo, and then just like
As long as
glare
I
at
don't
the
start
camera,
going
like, God
bam
damn it,
every
Boogie
time
Nights.
that I dry brush. Oh god.
Oh,
And then it
God.
turns into a cooking show.
Hey, you know I'd be there in half a heartbeat. I mean, come on. I think you and like Panic Monk live somewhere nearby, so like I'd be over there every weekend. Anyway,
Cooking show.
dude, I would move out to your neck of the woods in half a heartbeat just to do like a cooking show. Like we can just call it Rock Night.
Rock night.
Because like our cookies turn out to
The
be
Rock
rock
Night
hard
cooking
too. All right, so last
Our cookies
question,
rock
since
and
once again
roll.
I know we're coming out of the home stretch. I know you got that thing in a few minutes. What is your favorite thing to do when you aren't getting creative?
Most recently, it's always. I mean, in general, it's always been probably like reading, which still feels like a creative activity to me because it sparks so much stuff in my brain. But it always digging into somebody else's creative venture helps me shut my brain off a little bit from mine. And then most recently, it's been like I've always loved watching different types of documentaries and stuff with Floof, usually wildlife type stuff. And very recently, he's decided that I need to start watching anime with him.
Oh, God. No, don't go down the weeb rabbit hole, please, May.
And I have been introduced to the somewhat confuzzling world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, God. Oh, bless your heart.
I believe there's only 3 seasons on Netflix, and we're almost done with the 3rd season. It only gets weirder, guys. It only gets weirder. If you're starting out watching this show and you're like, maybe I'll understand, it gets weirder. But we also were like dabbled with some. I think it was Black Butler for a while. We started and then we had stopped it because he just was really wanted to watch JoJo's, and then we watch Avatar every now and then. But we've watched all of Avatar together, Avatar: The Last Airbender, before. But now that it's back on Netflix, we were gonna restart it. But just kind of always watching something with Floof, and then
when you said Black
Thursdays
Butler,
is always.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. As soon as you said Black Butler, I immediately thought of that show back in the 80s, The Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer.
Oh, jeez.
You can't prove this is wrong. Like, if you just said, like, that, I've been like, and you mentioned Shia McBride, like, I would have just been like, well, I've just been upstaged.
Like, and that's when it ended.
Mic drop.
No, and then, mic drop, and it's over. And then Thursdays is always Critical Role Day.
Oh, yeah.
With Doc, even though I'm an old lady, so because it's on West Coast time, I'm never managed to stay awake for the whole thing anymore.
We're the same
because it's usually
age.
a 4-hour stream.
I got no excuse. I'm in bed by like 10 o'clock.
Well, maybe if we would stop watching it in bed. I mean, we used to at least set up in the living room, and now we're like being old fogies, so we like put it on a speaker and watch it on the phone in bed. And it's like, well, now I'm guaranteed to fall asleep like in an hour or so. It's like, like I said, it's like a 3 or 4 hour stream when they do this, and it's like I don't even make it through half the show, so I end up watching the VOD or something during work the next day, listening to them, or I wait for the pod. They put it out as a podcast too, so a lot of times I just wait and listen to the podcast. But then you miss out on all their facial expressions.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the best part.
Oh yes, they're all
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, May, for taking time out of your day to, answer the questions and, have a chat and get deviated off subject. I really, really do appreciate it.
Oh yeah, deviated. Yep, that's a good word for it.
I'm being polite. Yeah, no, but once again, I really do appreciate you taking time. I know this has been in the works for like a month, and we finally like nailed down a time to actually chat. So, I do appreciate that.
I'm really honored that you wanted to sit down and talk with me. I really appreciate it, especially after listening to your other interviews. It's like everybody's so interesting. I'm not sure you actually want to talk to me.
Are you kidding? Ever since I started this with Ray, like I've got to get May on the show. I got to get May on the show. Yeah.
That way she can derail me constantly.
Well, that I'm used. Well, no, Silver's not on here, so I mean, we kind of have to in some form or fashion.
True.
Yeah, so for those of y'all who aren't following May, I will put links in the description below once again to her YouTube page, her Twitch page, and her Twitter page. Check her out on all fronts. I guarantee you guys will not be let down. She's really just multi-talented, very friendly, very welcoming, and just, I hate using the word community because I feel like it's kind of like my version of the word moist, but she really does have a great community of people, both of like, creative ilk and just good people in general. So if you want to check her out, once again, take a look at the links. You guys will be very, very happy that you did. Once again, a big thank you to Christoph Frey for being a sponsor of the Boogie Night Project. If you like low-poly horror games with an emphasis on character development, plot, ambience, and fear factor, check him out. Link is in the description below. Since this is not centered around me, I will not be doing the usual shout-outs, so links are in the description below for those that follow the project. If not, well then, check it out at the bottom. That's the end of my self-promotion. But thank you again, May. I do appreciate it. And for the rest of y'all, have a good night, and I will catch y'all on the flip side, alright? Peace.